What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Saturday, July 27th. Friday was a really annoying one, guys. Not a good day at all. We got things off to a very rocky start. We had the Rangers plus 105. They ended up losing that game in walk-off fashion, 6-5. They gave up 1 run in the 7th and 1 run in the 9th to lose that game. We had the under in that Atlanta-New York Mets game, an insane 7-run third inning for the Mets there. That one was never going to cash. Apparently, crazy offense from two teams that had been very cold at the plate lately. We did hit the Royals minus 141. That was a dominant 6-0 win there for Kansas City. Should have gone ahead and taken them minus 1.5. I know a few of you did. I saw you in the comments. Good job there. We had the under in that Seattle Mariners Chicago White Sox game. We saw Seattle score 8 runs in the first inning. How many times they've done that this season? I would be willing to bet maybe one other time or maybe 0. So that's pretty disappointing stuff there. Obviously a miss on that one. And then we capped the night off with another disappointing one, guys. We had the Cardinals minus 160. We thought Sonny Gray would have a good outing. We were incorrect. Bull starters looked terrible. We saw the Cardinals eventually take the 10-8 loss there in 10 innings with their bullpen falling apart. So Fernandez, yeah, he was the one that really let them down, and a tough loss there. So 1-4 on the day, not what they were looking for. Let's even get back on track here, headed into a full Saturday slate. Before we jump into the games, hit that like button, guys. It only takes 1 second and really helps the channel. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and can notify you about new videos or anytime we go live, something we're thinking about doing in the not too distant future. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. Our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Rangers go into game 2 of this series, obviously fresh off of that tough walk-off loss. They're 51-53 in the season. They're handing the ball to Michael Lorenzen, who comes into this game 5-5 on the season with a 3.53 ERA. His last time out, he had to pitch out of a little bit of trouble against the White Sox, but overall not a bad outing, and we did see the Rangers win that game 4-3 in extras. I mean, you're only giving up 2 runs. You expect your team to be in line for a win, and the fact they couldn't get him the actual win in that game has to be a little bit disappointing. Over his last 5 starts, he has had a questionable one at the Angels and a tough one at Baltimore, but generally speaking, you can pretty much count on this guy to go out there and give you 5 solid innings. After that, though, you're going to be leaning on the bullpen, and this Rangers bullpen has not been great, guys. As we saw yesterday, they're sitting with a 4.31 bullpen ERA, so that's pretty questionable, and they're coming off a game where they scored 5 runs. They've scored 5, 2, 10, 3, and 4 runs, respectively, so didn't have a great series there, even going up against the White Sox, so this isn't exactly an offense we can trust. They're 18th in the majors in runs scored and 21st in the majors in slugging percentage, so they're going to have to figure something out here, put up some runs going up against the Blue Jays, who come into this game fresh off of that 6-5 win. Lots of news about how this team is going to be sellers here at the trade deadline. We'll see what actually ends up happening. Yeah, so far nothing too crazy going on, but we'll keep you posted, and you'll obviously see it. That news goes everywhere. The Blue Jays are 47-56 on the year, handing the ball to Kevin Gausman in this game. He's 8-8 on the season with a 4.55 ERA, so not exactly amazing numbers. His last time out was against the Tigers. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs in a game we eventually saw the Blue Jays win 5-4. So pretty solid stuff there. They'll definitely take that. I mean, not giving up the 4 runs part, but getting that win. Generally speaking, he's been better than that over most of his last 5 starts, but when your good starts were coming against teams like Seattle, I mean, it starts to lose a little bit of its shine. We'll see how he looks here against the Rangers. They are not a team that he's faced yet this season, so that could be a little bit interesting. Obviously, we're not very high on the Toronto bullpen, guys. A 4.95 bullpen ERA is absolutely atrocious. Nothing positive to report there. Not a good bullpen at all, and the offense also hasn't been very good. I know they're coming off a game where they scored 6 runs, but the game before that they scored 0 and lost 13-0. So not exactly an offense we're in love with. They are 27th in the majors in runs scored and 23rd in the majors in slugging percentage. Look at the numbers for this game, guys. We see the Rangers at plus 125. We see the Blue Jays at minus 134. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. We've got both teams showing some trends towards the over. I mean, Texas is just a slight over team on the road, but Toronto is a significant over team when playing at home. So I do think there's some value on taking over 8.5 in this game, but with 2 decent starters out there, I think that's not exactly a slam dunk spot. Also, in terms of the side in this game, I do tend to think that the value is with the Rangers plus 125. Plus 125 just seems like a pretty big number, but generally speaking, this game is not one I'm in love with. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Baltimore Orioles. The Padres come into this game fresh off of a 6-4 win there in Game 1 of the series. We saw Profar hit 2 home runs in that game, so yeah, the 6th straight win there for the Padres. They're hitting the ball to Michael King in this game, who's 8-6 on the year with a 3.28 ERA. He's coming off a very good start at Cleveland and has been very, very good over his last 4 starts, not allowing more than 1 earned run over any of them. So excellent stuff there from Michael King. He has not faced the Orioles yet this season. No big shocker there. In terms of their bullpen, the Padres bullpen has not been great this season, guys. A 4.17 bullpen ERA has them solidly in the bottom half of the majors. But over this, this prolonged winning streak, they've definitely had plenty of outings where they've looked a good amount better. So we'll give them some credit for that. The bullpen is looking up a bit. And while the bats aren't exactly going nuts, they are looking a little bit better here. I mean, 6, 3, 12, 4, and 2 runs respectively over their last few games. Obviously, Profar swinging the bat great right now. 12th in the majors in runs scored, first in the MLB in batting average, guys, batting .262 as a team. That is very, very solid stuff. So we expect some good things from the Padres here in this game, going up against the Orioles, who come into this one losers of 4 out of their last 5 overall. They are 61-42 on the year, just not having a good time right now. They're hitting the ball to Dean Kremer, hoping that he can get them back on track. But guys, he's only 4-6 on the year with a 4.43 ERA. His last start was at the Rangers, not exactly a great hitting team. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs in a game we eventually saw the Orioles lose 3-2. So not exactly great. The Orioles are only 2-3 over his last 5 starts, so that's also not amazing. I mean, he got blown apart by the Chicago Cubs back on July 9th. This guy isn't somebody we super trust out there on the mound. Absolutely no doubt about that. We also don't really trust this Orioles bullpen right now. I mean, a 3.78 bullpen ERA is not a total disaster, but it's around league average and, yeah, not nearly as good as it was earlier in the season. So looking at the Orioles offense, that's been another problem lately, guys. They did have a game against the Marlins where they scored 7 runs. They tried really hard to lose that game, though, but they've scored 4, 7, 3, 3, and 2 runs respectively over their last several games. Unless the pitching staff is going to be a whole hell of a lot better, that is just not going to get the job done right here. We're seeing a lot of these young guys fade a little bit here down the stretch. I mean, this team is still first in the majors in slugging percentage and 4th in the majors in runs scored, but these numbers, man, they're not exactly trending in a great direction right now. So we've got our question marks about how they're swinging the bats, and looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Padres plus 102, we've got the Orioles minus 115, we've got an over-under in this game of 9. San Diego is 28-22 on the road. That is very solid for a road record. Baltimore is 30-22 at home. So, they've been a good home team, but that is not a number that's headed in a great direction recently. We see some mixed trends towards the over-under here, with San Diego being a significant under team on the road and Baltimore being an over team at home. But we're not super interested in the over-under in this game, guys, but I am very interested in the San Diego Padres plus 102. I don't like what I've been seeing from Kremer lately. Michael King has been looking very good out there. The Padres bullpen's even been coming together, and those Orioles hitters are nowhere to be found. So yeah, guys, go ahead and give me the Padres plus 102. I think they're in a great spot to win this game. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the New York Mets. We saw the Braves take the 8-4 loss there in Game 2 of this series. They're 54-48 on the year, handing the ball to Spencer Schwellenbach, who's 3-5 this season with a 4.62 ERA. He's coming off a kind of mediocre start against the Cardinals. 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs back on the 21st. Not a total disaster, but not great, and we obviously saw his team take the loss there in that game, so that's not ideal. Over his last 5 starts, I would say 2 of them were very, very good, and the other 3 not so hot, so we'll see what he can do out there. He has not faced the Mets yet this season. The Atlanta bullpen has obviously been very good over the course of the year, a 2.91 bullpen ERA, nothing wrong with that. The bats have been a big problem, though, guys. The offense is few and far between for this Atlanta team right now. They've scored 4, 2, 4, 1, and 2 runs, respectively, over their last few games. They've now lost 6 in a row. Just not a lot of great stuff coming out of this offense that is now 20th in the majors in runs scored and 23rd in the majors in on-base percentage. They're going to have to put up some runs here, going up against the Mets, who come into this game winners of 5 in a row. They're handing the ball to Taylor Maygill in this game, who's 2-4 on the season with a 5.08 ERA. He's been in the minors for a little bit, guys. His last start was back on the 29th of June. They brought him back up to the big league team, so we'll see how he does out there. A little bit questionable. I mean, he hasn't faced the Braves yet this season, so we'll see what he can actually do, but not necessarily someone that I have a ton of faith in. He had some very mixed results here in the majors when he was up before, and the Mets bullpen, not exactly one we can trust. They are headed in the right direction with a 4.07 bullpen ERA, but, not a bullpen that we're absolutely in love with. The bats, though, guys, the bats have been getting it done. They've scored 8, 3, 12, 3, and 6 runs, respectively, over this winning streak. Looking pretty good out there. I mean, we saw JD Martinez hit a home run there in the 3rd inning. This team is up to 6th in the majors in runs scored and 9th in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, this is looking like a top 10 offense, no doubt about it. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Braves at plus 100, the Mets at minus 110. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Atlanta is 24 and 26 on the road, so not a great road team. The Mets are 27 and 25 at home, so obviously not not an insane home team, but not terrible. We see some pretty big under trends, honestly, from Atlanta. I'm not really willing to go to the under 8.5, though, not with the way the Mets are swinging the bats, and not with these two starters out here, guys. If you're asking me about the over under in this game, I do like over 8.5. In terms of a side, I don't really have a big lean. I don't trust Schwellenbach a whole lot, and I don't trust Taylor Maygill at all. So maybe a slight lean towards the Braves, I guess. But yeah, this is mostly just going to be an over 8.5 spot for me. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. The Reds come into this game fresh off of a 3-2 win there in Game 1 of this series at Tampa Bay. They're 50 and 53 on the year, handing the ball to Andrew Abbott, who's 9 and 6 this season with a 3.19 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there at Washington. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave up only 2 runs. Neither one of them was earned. He didn't have his best control in that game. He walked 3 and only struck out 1, but generally speaking, not a terrible outing and a bounce back spot after having a bad time against the Marlins. Overall, he's had a very, very good season, no doubt about it. He had a good start against the Yankees, so he's had some decent success here in in interleague play and stuff like that. So feeling pretty good about Abbott in this game. Also feeling good about that Reds bullpen. They've had some hiccups recently, I guess, but a 3.44 bullpen ERA has them 5th in the majors. That is not a problem for me. The bats have been the concern for this team pretty much all season long. They're coming off a game they only scored 3 runs. They've scored 3, 9, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 14th in the majors in runs scored, so that's nice, but 28th in the majors in batting average and 22nd in on-base percentage. So, yeah, not exactly an offense that I trust a ton. They're going up against the Tampa Bay Rays, who come into this game fresh off that loss. They're 52 and 52 on the year, handing the ball to Zach Littell in this game. He's 3 and 7 this season with a 4.46 ERA. His last time out was at the Yankees. He didn't have a good time, guys. 5 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, and 3 home runs in that game. So, yeah, not great stuff there. Honestly, I guess his start against Cleveland was fine, but Cleveland hasn't been hitting the ball very well, but he got shelled at the Rangers, so we'll see how he looks at home in this game. Maybe not a guy that I have the most faith in, even though he does look a little bit like me with that red beard, but yeah, Zach Littell, not a guy that we're in love with in this game. Also, not in love with that Tampa Bay Rays bullpen. They've been pretty bad all season long, a 4.33 bullpen ERA. Obviously a definite concern. The offense is also a concern, guys. They did score 13 in that one game against Toronto. That was a crazy one. That's kind of an aberration, though. This has not been a great offense. They're 22nd in the majors in batting average, 25th in the majors in runs scored. This just isn't a team you can really trust to put up a ton of runs. We'll see what they do here. It doesn't seem like they're a team that's really actively trying to get better at the moment. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Reds at minus 102, the Rays at minus 115. We got an over-under of only 7.5 in this game, but with 2 pretty bad offenses, that makes sense to me. The Reds are basically a 500 team on the road. Tampa Bay is exactly a 500 team at home. No major trends towards the over-under in this game. Not very interested in that over-under of 7.5, but I am interested, guys, in the Cincinnati Reds minus 102. I think they've got a definite pitching advantage in this game. They've got a huge bullpen advantage, and if they can just find a way to manufacture a few runs here against Littell, who's not exactly throwing the ball great, I think they're in a pretty good spot, and they could always make a comeback win in this game against that Rays bullpen. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Guardians come to this game fresh off a 3-1 win there at Philadelphia. They've won 3 out of their last 4 overall to get to 62 and 41 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Carlos Carrasco, who's 3 and 8 on the year with a 5.32 ERA. His last time out was against the Tigers, guys. He did not look good. 5 1/3 innings, 9 hits, 6 earned runs. He had been looking good in his previous, 4-ish starts, so we'll give him some credit there. But yeah, that was not one of his better outings. Definitely not. So we'll see how he fares out there in this one going up against the Phillies. Not a team that he's faced yet this season, so can't really glean anything from that. Obviously, whenever he has to come out of the game, we're feeling very good about that Cleveland bullpen. A 2.48 bullpen ERA has them comfortably leading the majors. So a very good bullpen. The question is, are they going to put up any runs? They only scored 3 runs in game 1 of this series. That did happen to be enough, though, so they'll take that, but they've scored 3, 0, 2, 5, and 2 runs, respectively, over their last several games. We've seen Kwan's batting average pretty much just be in a free fall ever since he came back off the IL. Jose Ramirez is doing what he can, but he's going through a bit of a power outage, so not exactly having the best time out there. Yesterday he did have a hit, so we'll give him some credit, but yeah, just not killing the ball at the plate right now for a team that's 13th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in slugging percentage, and those are numbers that are headed in the wrong direction. They're taking on the Phillies, who come into this game losers of 3 out of their last 4. They're 64 and 39 on the year, handing the ball to young Tyler Phillips, who comes into this game 2-0 on the season with a 2.81 ERA. It's only his third start, 4th outing of the season. His last time out was at the Pirates, guys, back on the 21st. 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, struck out 3, and walked 1. So very, very solid stuff. He's looking good out there. Obviously, he's a young guy, so we can expect some inconsistency, but right now, throwing the ball well, that's not exactly something we can say for that Phillies bullpen that's down to, very middle of the pack, maybe even below middle of the pack in the majors with a bullpen ERA of around 4. That's not great, especially for a pen that was good at different points of the season, and the offense has disappeared a little bit, guys. They've scored 1, 4, 3, 2, and 6 runs respectively over their last several games. We're not seeing anybody on the lineup hit the ball particularly well for them right now. They're down to 5th in the majors in runs scored, obviously still top 5. Like, that's very, very good, but 3rd in the majors in batting average, 4th in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, this is a good offense. They're just not swinging the hottest bats right now, but maybe they're getting a chance here to open things up going up against Carlos Carrasco. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Guardians at plus 144, the Phillies at minus 155. We got an over-under of 9 in this game. Cleveland is 28 and 26 on the road, so, not bad there, but the Phillies are 37 and 15 at home. That is an MLB best record at home, so definitely something to take into consideration there. We do see both teams showing slight trends towards the under, with Carrasco and a very young pitcher out there on the mound. Taking under 9 seems a bit sketch. Obviously, we love the Cleveland bullpen, but not so much that Phillies bullpen right now. But really, with a number of 9, you guys could convince me to take a look at that under. But generally speaking, I think this is a great spot for the Phillies in this game. I think they're going to jump on Carrasco, score a bunch of runs. I don't know if it'll be enough to push this to the over, but I think the Phillies minus 155 or even minus 1.5 is a very good spot. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the Detroit Tigers. The Twins come into this game fresh off of a 9-3 win in Game 1 of this series. They're handing the ball in this one to Joe Ryan, who comes into this game 6-6 on the year with a 3.65 ERA. His last time out against the Brewers wasn't great, and honestly, his start before that at the Giants wasn't great either. So his last couple have looked a bit problematic. The Twins have lost 3 out of his last 5 starts, so that is obviously not what they're looking for out of him. He hasn't taken on the Tigers since back in April, and he didn't look great against them in those outings, but I mean, that's so long ago. Not a whole lot of information we can glean from those. So we'll have to just kind of wait and see what we get from Joe Ryan in this game. We felt pretty decent about what we've gotten from the Minnesota bullpen lately. I mean, they're still hovering around somewhere around top 10 in the majors with a 3.68 bullpen ERA. So not too scared to have the bullpen take over this game from Joe Ryan. The Twins bats have looked good, guys. They scored 9, 5, 0, and 7 runs over their last few games. I mean, missing Carlos Correa, obviously not great. When are we going to see him back? We still don't exactly know. I mean, he was in a walking boot as of 4 days ago, so I don't have any updates there. I don't expect him to be back for this game. If you guys hear anything, please let me know down there in the comments. Generally speaking, though, this has been a very good offense over the course of the season. Top 10 in all the major categories, and those numbers are looking pretty solid right now. They're taking on the Tigers, who come into this game 51 and 54 on the season. They've lost 3 out of their last 4, but they're handing the ball to Tariq Skubal, who's 11 and 3 this year with a 2.34 ERA. The dude is looking amazing out there. His last time out, he did give up 10 hits, but managed to work out of so much trouble to only give up a single earned run against Cleveland in a game we eventually saw Detroit win 8-2. The last time he took on the Twins was back on the 2nd of July. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits and 3 earned runs in a game we saw the Tigers lose 5-3. So not necessarily amazing history there, but not terrible. Like, give the guy some credit. He only gave up 3 earned runs over 6 innings and struck out 7 in that game. So I think he definitely has the stuff to have a good outing, especially at home here against the Tigers. So we'll see what he can do. We'll also see what that Tigers bullpen can do. They have not been amazing this season necessarily. I mean, a 4.09 bullpen ERA, not something to write home about, and neither is this offense, guys. They've scored 3, 3, 1, 4, and 8 runs respectively over their last few games. Green is now on the IL, which makes this offense even worse, so that's not ideal at all. 16th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors in batting average, and I don't think those are numbers that are going to go anywhere positive, especially with Green on the bench. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Twins at plus 102, the Tigers at minus 116. We got an over-under of 7 in this game. That is a crazy, crazy small number. We see Minnesota, they're a slight under team on the road. Detroit is actually a slight over team at home. With Skubal and Ryan on the mound, I don't think we're too interested in this over-under. If you're going to bet an over-under of 7, I would want to be on the over side. And yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound terrible, but with Green out, that definitely is a huge hit to that Tigers, run production. So in general in this game, guys, I'm leaning slightly towards the Twins plus 102. Not very sold on this one though at all, guys, because I mean we could see Scooball go out there and throw 8 innings of shutout ball. Like, that is not beyond the realm of possibility at all. So generally speaking, slightly towards the Twins in this one, but overall a stay away spot for me. Next up, guys, we've got game 1 of the doubleheader between the Colorado Rockies and the San Francisco Giants. The Rockies come into this game, playing some of their better ball. They are down 8-1 right now in the top of the 8th inning, so that's not ideal. Looking like they're going to lose this one for sure. Kind of a predictable letdown spot, I suppose, after scoring 20 runs in game 3 of their series against the Red Sox. They're handing the ball in this game to Ryan Feltner, who's 1-10 on the season with a 5.19 ERA. His last time out, guys, was against the Giants, so that's kind of interesting. He didn't have a very good time. 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. Only 2 of them were earned, but he did give up 2 home runs. Overall, he's been kind of rounding into form here over his last 5, 6, something like that starts. So, things have looked a bit better. When he faced the Giants early in the season back in May, he had a straight up bad time. So we'll see what we get out of him in this one. Overall, he's been throwing the ball a bit better, but, also not amazing. And whenever he comes out of the game, guys, it's time for that terrible Rockies bullpen, sporting a 5.60 bullpen ERA. So that's not great. Obviously, the offense has been finding some production lately with that 20-run game, but not an offense that I'm super high on regardless. I mean, they scored 3, 20, 0, 9, 2, 4, and 7 runs over their last few games. Like, they did do well in a series against the Giants not too long ago, so give them some credit there, but just not a team I'm very high on. Not an offense that I'm very high on either. They're taking on the Giants, obviously, in this game, who just got knocked around by the Dodgers, hoping they can turn things around in this series, and it looks like they're going to get off to a good start. They're up to 8-3 right now, so I think they're likely to win that game. Obviously, they're handing the ball to Blake Snell in this one. He's 0-3 on the season with a 5.83 ERA, but his last 3 starts have all been very, very good, guys. His last time out against the Dodgers, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. Very, very solid stuff there. Nothing to nitpick about that, guys. He's been throwing the ball well. Finally back on track. Seems like he's healthy. Seems like he is ready to go. So expecting good things from Blake Snell in this game. What do we expect from that Giants bullpen? Not a lot of great stuff, guys. A 4.38 bullpen ERA is pretty freaking bad. And the offense, while they've obviously scored 8 runs in their current game, has not been killing the ball lately. And when you look at their lineup, it's not a huge surprise, guys. 15th in the majors in batting average, 18th in the majors in slugging percentage. Just not an offense I'm in love with overall. So looking at the numbers for this game, kind of weird, guys. We see the Rockies at plus 180, the Giants at minus 198. We got an over-unders showing out there of 7.5 or 8. Colorado is a big over team on the road, guys. They're 14-36 on the road, so they're terrible on the road, but they allow, their high-scoring games on the road, 29-20 and 1 to the over on the road. San Francisco is 28-22 at home, which is interesting. They're also a slight under team at home, basically not even a big enough trend for us to take into consideration. So generally speaking, I'm leaning towards the Giants minus 198 in this game. Is it worth taking them minus 1.5? Like, are they going to get a blowout win here? With Snell on the mound, it seems pretty likely to me, guys. If you take them at minus 1.5, you can get them at plus 110. That seems pretty reasonable. We have seen Feltner look a little bit better recently, so we might want to just, not get too greedy and take this minus 1.5. But yeah, it seems like a decent spot to me. It is game 1 of a doubleheader, so that can always be a little bit odd too. This might just be a wait and see spot, but I do expect Blake Snell to have another good outing. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. The Cubs come into this game 49-56 on the year, fresh off a 6-0 shutout at the hands of the Royals. They're hitting the ball in this game to Shota Imanaga, who's 8-2 this season with a 2.86 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start, guys, against the Arizona Diamondbacks. 7 innings, 2 hits, only a single earned run, and struck out 10 in that game. It was a game that we saw the Cubs win, and wins have been a little bit hard to come by for the Chicago Cubs recently. So they'll definitely take that. Great to see their ace back on track here. The bullpen hasn't exactly been amazing this year, but it hasn't been terrible. A 3.78 bullpen ERA has them a little bit above MLB average, and that's pretty much where they've been. But the problem for this team has been their offense. They've scored 0, 2, and 0 runs over their last 3 games, guys. Nobody really hitting the ball particularly well for them. 20th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in the majors in batting average. Like, just not an offense that's headed in a very good direction right now. So definite concerns there. They're taking on the Kansas City Royals, obviously come into this game fresh off that 6-0 win at 57-47 on the year. They're kind of cruising along here. I mean, they are 3rd in the AL Central, 5.5 games back of Cleveland, but they're doing what they can. They're handing the ball to Seth Lugo in this game, who is 12-4 this season with a 2.38 ERA. The dude has been great out there. He's coming off a complete game against the White Sox. So a little bit concerning to see him go out there and throw 9 innings after the All-Star break. Kind of stretching him out seems kind of unnecessary to me, but, do what you want. I mean, a 4-1 win is definitely solid. Nothing wrong with that, but a little bit concerned about Lugo having some arm fatigue in this game. The Royals bullpen too has had its issues, guys. A 4.18 bullpen ERA has them in the bottom third of the majors, so that's a concern as well. Like not a bullpen that's been as good as they were in the early goings. The offense is looking okay, guys. They've scored 6, 6, 2, 10, and 4 runs respectively over their last several games. Bobby Witt Jr. killing it. Salvador Perez just hit a 429-foot home run. Like this offense, nothing too bad to say about it. 11th in the majors in runs scored, batting 250 as a team, which is 10th in the MLB. Their on-base percentage isn't amazing. They're not quite top 10 in slugging percentage, but this is an offense that's okay and definitely likes playing at home. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Cubs at plus 102, the Royals at minus 110. We got an over-under of 8 in this game. The Cubs are 22-30 on the road, so that's not great. The Royals are 35-20 at home, so that'll definitely work. In terms of the over-under, we do see both teams showing pretty significant trends towards the under right now. With two very good pitchers out there and an over-under of 8, I'd lean towards the under in this game for sure, guys. Honestly, if it was 8.5, I think this would definitely find its way into the pinned comment. But right now, sitting at where it is, sitting at 8, that's a bit concerning. It looks like FanDuel has it currently listed at 8.5. So if you wanted to jump on that at FanDuel and get it at under 8.5, that would make some sense to me. I also don't hate the Royals to win this game minus 110. I mean, the Cubs are nothing special. They have very little offense to put out there. So really, guys, I think in this spot, we're going to go ahead and take that under 8. I don't think we're going to, if only one book is showing 8.5, I don't think we can reasonably, lock that in. But we're going to take under 8. I think this is a pretty good spot. We got 2 aces out there on the mound. I'm a little bit worried about Lugo since he, just threw 9 innings, but I do expect him to have a good outing anyway, especially going up against those weak Chicago Cub bats. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Marlins come to this game fresh off of a 6-2 win there in Game 1 of this series. They have been looking really good lately. They've won 3 out of the last 4 overall, but at 38-66, obviously not going anywhere important this year. They're handing the ball to Max Meyer, who comes into this game 2-0 on the season with a 2.12 ERA, but he hasn't made a start since back in April, guys. He looked fantastic when he was out there, looked very, very good. Coming back from the minors can be a big adjustment, but man, he didn't look like he was too bothered being up in the MLB there early in the season. So expecting decent stuff from him at least, and expecting better than you would think from that Miami Marlins bullpen, guys. A 3.75 bullpen ERA, nothing to turn your nose up at there. And the offense has been finding a way, guys. They've scored 6, 6, 6, and 6 runs respectively over their last 4 games, and they're 3-1 over those games. So that's pretty solid. Over the course of the season, obviously they've been a very, very bad offensive team. No question about that, but the bats are looking relatively hot coming into this one, going up against the Brewers here in Game 2 of the series. Milwaukee at 59-44 on the year has a 6-game cushion there in the NL Central, so I don't think they're too worried. They're handing the ball to Aaron Savale, who's 2-7 this season with a 5.17 ERA. Hasn't really looked amazing since getting acquired by the Brewers. I mean, a decent start against the Pirates, but other than that, it's been pretty problematic. Maybe pitching on the road isn't his specialty, so he's at home for this one. We'll see what we get out of him. I would not say this is a guy that I have a ton of faith in, though. I do have a good amount of faith in that Milwaukee Brewers bullpen. 3rd best in the majors, a 3.26 bullpen ERA. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. We'll certainly take that. The bats have not been delivering lately, guys. They've scored a 2, 3, 1, and 1 run respectively over their last few games. Crazy stuff. It sounds like Yelich is going to get back surgery, so I don't think he's going to be back for the rest of the season. I don't have any huge updates on that. I just know he's out and probably for a long time. So that is a big blow to this offense. They're 8th in the majors in runs scored, 2nd in the majors in on-base percentage, but losing a guy like Yelich is obviously a very big deal. So we'll see what we get out of them here moving forward. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Marlins at plus 136, the Brewers at minus 162. We got an over-under of 8 in this game. The Marlins are only 15-32 on the road, so that is obviously not great. They're 29-18 to the under when playing on the road, so that's pretty interesting. Milwaukee is 29-17 at home, so that's a very solid home mark, no doubt about that. 27-15-4 to the over at home, so they're a big over team at home, but do we really have the guts to play the over in a game like this? I mean, I'm expecting decent things from Meyer, very up in the air what we're going to get from Savale. In general, guys, I think the value in this game is actually on the Marlins plus 136. I think they've got a decent shot to win this game again. I think the Brewers are very bothered by, the fact that they're not going to have Yelich. We're putting a pretty mediocre starter out there on the mound in Savale. So yeah, guys, go ahead and give me the Marlins plus 136 on the road. This has an actual shot to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees come into this game losers of 3 in a row, and they lost Game 1 of this series 9-7. So pretty rough stuff there. Wasted a Judge 470-foot home run did the Yankees. So at 60-45 in the year, they've still got some work to do. They're 2 games back of the slumping Orioles. They're hitting the ball to Marcus Stroman in this game, who's 7-5 in the year with a 3.51 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty middle of the road start against Tampa Bay, guys. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 runs overall, but he gave up 2 home runs in that game. So not exactly dominant stuff. He's been a little bit up and down over his last several starts. The last time he pitched against the Red Sox was at Fenway. He went 5 innings, gave up 7 hits and 4 earned runs. He walked 4 in that outing, like not his best stuff out there against the Red Sox. So a bit questionable heading into this one. Also a bit questionable is that Yankees bullpen trending in a negative direction, currently sitting with a 3.66 bullpen ERA. Doesn't look like a disaster, but it hasn't been great. Obviously the Bats scored 7 runs there in game 1 of this series, but haven't been great recently, and definitely just missing those big hitters, guys. I mean, if you're missing Stanton, you're missing Rizzo, like that's a bit tough. I mean, Judge and Soto are monsters, don't get me wrong, but this team was, pretty much designed to have those guys out there. And I mean, it's being reported that Stanton's going to be back on Monday. That's great, but that does not help us in this game. So we'll see what the Yankees bats can do here going up against the Red Sox, who come to this game fresh off of that 9-7 win. They're handing the ball to Cutter Crawford in this game, who's 6-8 on the season with a 3.37 ERA. His last time out was at the Dodgers, guys, and he got shelled. 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs. Obviously, not a very good start, but the last time he faced the Yankees was a completely different deal. It was back on July 7th. He went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits and no runs while striking out 4 and walking 0. He was lights out there at Yankee Stadium, and he gets to do this start at home, something that's been fairly rare for him. His last start at home was at home on the 13th against the Royals. Shut them out over 7 innings and gave up 3 hits. So, expecting very good things from Cutter Crawford in this game. The Red Sox bullpen has been trending in something of a positive direction. Obviously, they're not coming off a great game, but a 3.95 bullpen ERA isn't exactly a disaster. I'm kind of considering these two bullpens a wash at this point, like not really expecting greatness from either one. We are seeing some decent stuff from the Red Sox bats, guys. They've scored 9, 7, 6, 8, and 6 runs respectively over their last few games. Obviously, they haven't been winning a ton of games here down the stretch. They did just acquire James Paxton, so that's cool. They got him for a minor leaguer, so it doesn't really hurt their team at all. They're still top 10 in the majors in runs scored, 4th in the majors in batting average. Like, this is a solid hitting team that needs to bust out of a slump. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we're seeing the books pretty much have this as a coin flip. We've got the Yankees minus 108, the Red Sox minus 108 or 110 out there. We've got an over-under of 9.5, so the books are expecting plenty of offense in this game. The Yankees are 33-21 on the road. Boston is 24-25 at home. We see mixed trends towards the over-under. Not really interested in that over-under of 9.5. Honestly, if you wanted to play the over-under in this game, I think under 9.5 would be the way to lean. But generally speaking, guys, I really like the Boston Red Sox in this spot. We've got Crawford there with great history against the Yankees very recently. He's been throwing the ball well. He's in a bounce-back spot after a bad start against the Dodgers. So, yeah, guys, go ahead and give me the Red Sox in this one. I think they're in a very good spot. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. The Mariners come to this game fresh off of a very annoying 10-0 win there in Game 1 of this series. They scored 8 runs in the first inning and then 2 runs the whole rest of the game to absolutely destroy our underplay. If they just wouldn't have that crazy first inning, it would have been good as gold. But yeah, they went nuts in that one. We'll see what they can do in this game, handing the ball to Brian Wu, who's 4-1 on the season with a 2.54 ERA. His last time out against Houston, he looked good. 5 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. Nothing to complain about there. The dude has looked a decent amount better. He got off to a dominant start to his season, then had an injury, and now it seems like he's rounding back into form. We'll see what he can do here against the Chicago White Sox. Not a team that he's faced this season, but obviously not a very tough hitting team. The Seattle bullpen has been solid all year long. Maybe not amazing, but definitely will give them credit for being solid. The bats have been the problem, guys. It's a miracle they scored 10 runs in that game. They never score double-digit runs. They're 28th in the majors in runs scored, dead last in the majors, batting .216 as a team. They are making some moves here, acquiring Arozarena to, get him into this lineup and try and boost the offensive numbers, but he hasn't been having a particularly good season, so we'll see what difference that actually makes here going up against the White Sox, who come into this game losers of their last 12 in a row. They're handing the ball in this game to Eric Feedy, who's 7-3 this season with a 2.98 ERA. He's been very, very good this year, guys. His last start was against the Rangers. It was on the road. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 earned runs. No shocker there. We saw the White Sox lose that game, but he's been doing everything he can out there. He's been looking very, very good. Against Seattle earlier this season, back on June 10th, he went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, only a single earned run in that outing. It was a game that eventually ended 8-4, so not ideal there, but overall, definitely he did his best out there. So he gets plenty of credit. The White Sox bullpen does not get a ton of credit, though, guys. They are 3rd to last in the majors with a 4.73 ERA coming out of the pen there, and the bats obviously have been terrible. This is the worst offense, even worse than the Mariners, guys. dead last in run scored, dead last in slugging percentage, dead last in on-base percentage, and 29th in the majors in batting average, batting .217 as a team. Obviously not scoring a ton of runs here lately, just getting shut out. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Mariners at -134, the White Sox at +125. We got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Seattle is 22-28 on the road. The White Sox are 17-34 at home. So that definitely makes me lean towards the Mariners here. -134 seems extremely cheap. Even with Feedy on the mound, I think the Mariners are definitely the value side in this game. The White Sox are just terrible, guys. No way around it. Even with Feedy on the mound, if he throws 7 shutout innings, they're still very likely to lose this game. Looking at the over-under for this one, we've got an over-under of 7.5, so a pretty low number, but Seattle, they are 25-22-3 to the over on the road, which is kind of crazy, but the White Sox, guys, they are 30-19-2 to the under at home. I don't think we're going to see the Mariners score 10 runs again in this game. I don't think we're going to see another 8-run first inning for them, so I think the under 7.5 is very much in play in this game. So there's a chance for both of these plays to end up in the pinned comment. I really like the Mariners -134, and I think under 7.5 is very good value as well. Next up, guys, we got the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Nationals got a very annoying 10-8 win there late in that game. We had a bases loaded triple in the 10th inning to give them that 10-8 win. So solid stuff there from the Nationals. They're only 48-56 on the year, though. Handing the ball in this game to Jake Irvin, who's 7-8 this season with a 3.44 ERA. He's coming off a great start against the Reds, guys. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs in a game we eventually saw the Nationals win 5-2. So that's pretty solid stuff. He's looked good, generally speaking, this season. He hasn't faced the Cardinals yet this year, it's showing. So, yeah, no major trends there. The bullpen has not been great, obviously, for the Nationals, guys. A 4.09 bullpen ERA. Not a pen that's really headed in a great direction. The bats obviously came alive for 10 runs in that game, but they've scored 0, 3, and 0 runs in the few games before that. So not exactly swinging amazing bats, although maybe the bats are back on their side, guys. But 22nd in the majors in runs scored and 27th in the majors in slugging percentage. So not amazing there. They're taking the Cardinals, who have suddenly lost 3 out of their last 4 overall. They're now 6 games back of the Brewers there in the NL Central. They're hitting the ball to Kyle Gibson in this game, who's 7-3 this year with a 3.99 ERA. He's coming off a good start at Atlanta, guys. 6 2/3 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run in that one. So yeah, good stuff there. The Cardinals did eventually lose that game, but his last time against the Nationals was at Washington. 5 innings, 9 hits, 3 earned runs. So he did get knocked around there a bit, but managed to pitch his way out of trouble in a game the Cardinals eventually won 8-3. So, kind of hard to tell what we're going to get out of him. Not some great history there. The Cardinals bullpen obviously did not have a great night last night, but that was mostly just one guy really messing up. It was Fernandez, I believe, that really gave up all the runs and just didn't look too good out there, but they're still 4th in the majors with a 3.39 bullpen ERA. The bats, obviously, scoring 8 runs and losing a game doesn't feel good. They got shut out the game before that and didn't have a very good offensive series at all at Pittsburgh, so they're hoping they can get back on track here at home. They're 24th in the majors in runs scored, though, and 20th in the majors in slugging percentage, so, not exactly an amazing offensive team. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Nationals at +115, the Cardinals at -124. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this one. Washington is 24-29 on the road. The Cardinals are 25-22 at home, a decent home team. No significant trends towards the over-under, and not really an over-under that we're super interested in this game. I do think there's a shot we see the Cardinals bounce back and get this win, and -124 seems like an okay price, but I don't love this spot with Jake Irvin on the mound. He is not a terrible pitcher by any stretch, so yeah, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. I think this is a stay away spot for me. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Pirates come to this game fresh off of a very close 4-3 loss there at Arizona in Game 1 of this series. They're 52-51 on the year, handing the ball to Marco Gonzalez, who's 1-1 this season with a 2.70 ERA. His last time out, he looked decent against the Phillies, guys. He only went 4 2/3 innings, but he only gave up 2 earned runs, so we'll give him some credit there. His start before that against the White Sox, he had to pitch his way out of trouble a bunch, so not exactly a guy that we're super duper high on. I mean, he's only been, his last couple starts have been his only starts since April, so it's a little bit still wait and see mode for me on what we're going to get out of him. In general, the Pirates bullpen has been pretty bad this season, guys. They're somewhere 8th or 9th from last in the majors with a 4.26 bullpen ERA, and the bats obviously haven't been amazing. I mean, they did score 5 runs in the last game of the series against the Cardinals, but only 3 runs in Game 1 against Arizona, and yeah, just not an offense that I'm very high on right now, especially with Brian Reynolds out on bereavement. So they're taking on the Diamondbacks, who come into this game winners of their last 3 in a row at 54-50 on the year. They're really trying to get it done, trying to claw back into contention there in the NL West. They're hitting the ball to Brandon Pfaadt in this game, who's 4-6 this season with a 3.74 ERA. He's coming off a fantastic start there at Wrigley Field, guys. 7 innings, 1 hit, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, in a game his team eventually lost 2-1 in 10 innings. So that's got to be pretty devastating. Overall, he's been throwing the ball really, really well over his last 4 starts. So he's somebody that I'm expecting a lot of good things from right now. And this Arizona bullpen, while it has been great over the course of the season, is trending in a positive direction. A 4.24 bullpen ERA has them right there next to the Pirates in the bullpen standings. And yeah, the offense, they've scored 4, 8, and 6 runs over their last 3 games, respectively. They're hitting the ball relatively well over the course of the season, guys. No doubt about that. Easily a top 10, maybe a top 5 offense. 3rd in the majors in runs scored, 9th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're batting .252 as a team. Like, this team can absolutely hit the ball. So looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Pirates at plus 136, the Diamondbacks at minus 162. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Pirates not on a terrible road team, 26-24 on the road. Arizona 26-24 at home. Some decent trends towards the over for Arizona when playing at home, so you might want to take a look at over 8.5, but I'm not expecting a ton of offense from the Pirates in this game, so my lead in this one's going to be the Diamondbacks minus 162. I'm not in love with that price, but with Fott throwing the ball great right now and the Diamondbacks clearly having the better offense, it doesn't seem like a terrible spot to me. Next up, guys, we've got the Oakland A's going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. The A's come into this game fresh off a 5-4 win in Game 2 of the series. Both of the games so far in this series have been one-run games, and the A's have won both of them. They're 43-63 on the year, handing the ball to Mitch Spence, who's 6-6 this season with a 4.67 ERA. His last time out, guys, was against the Angels. It was at home against the Angels. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 earned runs. The dude's been making a ton of starts against the Angels. These two teams have been playing each other a lot lately. He's looked very good in the starts at home and pretty mediocre in the road starts. So yeah, a little bit of a concern there. Not that much of a concern there for the A's bullpen, which has been solid lately, no doubt about that. And they've been swinging some hot bats, guys. They've scored 5, 6, 1, 8, 4, 5, 8, 13, 18. Like, this is a team that can put up some big crooked numbers all of a sudden. Not what it looked like it was going to be in the early goings, but recently they have turned it on. Obviously, it's too little too late, but it's interesting to see, and they're going up against an Angels team that doesn't have a ton to play for either. They've now lost 2 in a row. They're 45-59 on the year, handing the ball in this game to Tyler Anderson, who's been good this season, 8-8 with a 2.91 ERA. His last time out was at Seattle, guys. He was dominant in that start, which was a nice bounce back after getting shelled by Seattle at home. So we'll see what he does out there. The last time he faced the A's was back on June 25th. He went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. So very decent stuff there. It was a game the Angels won 7-5. So we'll see how he fares out there in this one. We'll also see how that Angels bullpen looks. A 4.44 bullpen ERA. Obviously a lot of room for improvement there. The bats also haven't been great. 4, 5, 2, 5, and 3 runs respectively over their last several games. Not very likely that we're going to see Mike Trout back anytime soon. He did get a clean MRI, so that's something positive, but this is not an offense that I'm super high on, guys. And look at the numbers for this game. We see the A's at plus 104, the Angels at minus 120. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. I do think under 9 is in play, possibly, but we've seen a lot of scoring in this series so far, so maybe not, a great spot. Oakland's been a bad road team over the course of the season, but they've been better recently. Overall, guys, just not a lot of, obvious value in this game. I lean slightly towards the Angels minus 120 to get a win here, but overall, this is going to be a stay away spot for me. Last but not least, guys, we have the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the San Francisco Giants in Game 2 of their doubleheader. Not going to go over everything in this game again. We don't have a confirmed starter for the Rockies, so this ends up being a bullpen start. Definitely a great spot to look at taking the opposite because the Rockies have such a horrendous bullpen, so don't know who they're going to be starting. We do have a confirmed starter for the Giants. It's going to be Hayden Birdsong. He's 2-0 this season with a 3.55 ERA, coming off of a great start at Colorado back on the 21st, guys. 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs. Dominant stuff in that game. He started at 12, guys. He looked so good in that one. Colorado didn't have any idea what was coming at him. He had success at Coors Field, so getting to pitch against Colorado at his home field has to feel pretty good. So we'll see what he does in this one. I'm expecting good things, though. We'll also have to wait and see what we get from that Giants bullpen. While it's better than the Rockies bullpen, it's obviously not amazing. And the Giants not necessarily swinging the hottest bats per se, but I mean, they're coming off a pretty good game. Got to give them credit there for scoring 11 runs there in Game 1 of this series. So I think we'll see some success from them in this one, pretty much regardless of who the Rockies run out there to start, and especially if we're going to see a lot of that Rockies bullpen. So taking the Giants minus 198, not super appealing, but if you wanted to take a look at taking them minus 1.5 in this game, you can get them at plus 122. Guys, we're going to jump on that. You can get them at plus 122 over there on FanDuel. That seems extremely reasonable. Give me the Giants minus 1.5 in this game. It's actually got a chance to end up in the pinned comment. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.